Welcome to the June vlog. It's actually June 6th today, and I'm just now getting into my vlog introduction. I'm on top of things, but I actually have been reading. I finished 2 of the 7 books on my TBR, which means I only have 5 left, so I'm really pleased with this. As you can see, it's dark outside. I'm tired. It's not that late. It's only like 9:30, but that's really late for me. I have to work tomorrow morning early. Even earlier than usual for me, which is a joy. I was hoping to kind of like read in bed a lot tonight, and that's not gonna happen, but hopefully a little bit more reading. The 2 books that I'm currently working on, I'm working on one and I plan to start one either tonight or tomorrow, before my next vlog update. So what I'm actively working on is Committing Journalism, the Prison Writings of Red Hog by Dannie Martin and Peter Sussman. I've made progress. I think I've surpassed the point where I was, so I'm not entirely certain. I don't really remember, but I'm like 55 pages in now. One thing that I'd forgotten about this book, it's nonfiction, it's journalism, that Dannie Martin was a bank robber, among other things. He was just sort of a career criminal. He was a heroin addict. He was arrested for most of his life for various crimes, and I think the final one was bank robbery, and he was in prison for more than a decade for that. And when he was in prison, he got his GED, he started reading a lot, and he started writing, and he submitted some of his writing to newspapers and found an editor who published him, and he kind of got fairly well known for it. And then he had a First Amendment case against the prison who banned him from writing anymore and from publishing his writing. I mean, he was allowed to write, he wasn't allowed to publish, and they stuck him in solitary confinement to stop him from doing that. So there was a First Amendment lawsuit that he was involved in, which, fascinating. This book is his writings, as well as like the context around them. His editor, Peter Sussman, yes. His editor wrote this book, collected some of his writings, but also like gave the context for them, like what was going on in Dannie Martin's life at the time, like how he, found Peter Sussman to submit his stuff, what they discussed like in the background, what things like kind of led up to, the lawsuit. And like it's more than just articles, although like there is a lot of like his actual writing in it. I would say it's probably like, I don't know, I'm only 50 pages in, but it seems like more context than like his actual articles, which is not what I expected, but it's very, very interesting. The only thing I'm kind of struggling with a little bit is that it doesn't feel like Dannie Martin actually has a voice in this book. Like, it definitely includes his articles that he wrote, but this feels like Peter Sussman's book, and it's kind of making me wonder. I don't know anything about Dannie Martin, and I'm like, I've decided not to Google him until I finish this book, just because like I'd rather read this book with the sole context as opposed to like Googling other things as I'm going through. But I'm kind of wondering if Dannie Martin might have died young, died before this book was written or published. I'm not sure, because that would have been like shortly after he was released from prison. But it's kind of written like Peter Sussman wrote this and included some of Dannie Martin's writings in it, and it's about their relationship, but it's like all from Peter Sussman. So like, I don't know, it makes me curious about Dannie Martin's involvement in this book, which if he didn't have any involvement in this, it seems kind of questionable. But again, I'm less than 60 pages in, so perhaps that will be resolved or explained at some point. But it is just one of those things that like I can't help but notice, because it's weird for a book like this to not have Dannie Martin's voice and perspective. I don't know. but I am really enjoying it. It's really, really interesting. It's from the 80s. Like, he started writing in like 86 and was in prison through the early 90s, and then this book was published in like 93 or something. So it's definitely like not a timely book for me to be reading, but it's really, really interesting. So if you're into this kind of thing, like, it's really interesting. And then the other thing that I actually haven't started yet, but I do plan to start soon, is the second Witcher book. I'm not looking forward to this at all. I kind of figure, since the other book is journalism stuff, it'll be easy to like intersperse that with some like short stories, and I can like continue reading this for as long as necessary. And the other 3 books that I have are all nonfiction, which I didn't quite think about when I was making my TBR, and then now I'm like, this is like 4 out of 7 are nonfiction, which is maybe a lot, but you know, especially since I've read the 2 of the fiction books to begin with. I read the 2 novels to start the month, and now all I have is 4 nonfiction and a book of short stories that I know I'm gonna hate. I don't know. I wasn't thinking, but I'm planning to intersperse this in, since I don't need to like sit down and read it as one cohesive story. It's short stories. I did not like the first one at all. I started this one and I was like, maybe it'll be better, and then it wasn't, so I gave up. How quickly did I give up? 14 pages in. Not fond of this, but I did want to get through the first novel at least, and if I don't like the first novel, I'll DNF it, but I kind of made that deal with myself, so I do want to continue reading just to like finish it. But I'm planning to focus on these 2 for a little bit until I at least finish this one, and I can replace it with a different nonfiction. But this is my goal for like the next several days at least. Yeah, this one I don't mind if it takes me a minute, because it is short stories, so I can read one and then put it down for a few days. But like, this is my problem with books like this, is that I put it down and then don't come back, so I really need to like not do that and actually read it. But this is what I'm working on, so I'll probably not check back in for a few days unless I have something specific to say, because it's probably just gonna be me reading these. So I just went to the library, which I have no self-control. I went to drop off a book, so I was like, I read this last month, like I need to take it back, like it's time to take it back. And then I don't know, there were just books, and I was like, let's go inside and appreciate the library, which turned into, well, since I'm here, I might as well get a book. And then that turned into, let's go upstairs and look at their mystery section and their fiction section. And I have no self-control. So I have 2 books. I don't know. I don't need to add books to my TBR for the month. I already have plenty, but I don't know. Apparently this is what we're doing now. So I got a poetry collection. It's real small. This was how I justified the first book. I was like, it's so short. It's just gonna be like this quick little read. It's poetry. It's not gonna be quick or light. Time is a Mother by Ocean Vong. They are reading one of his novels, or his only novel. They're reading a novel by him for one of the library book clubs this month or last month. I don't know. But it's impossible to get any of the books for the library book clubs. Like, I would love to go to the library book clubs. They have so many and they look so interesting, and there are like tons that have books that like I actively want to read. And then it's just like, because they're hosted through the library, you can never get any of the books like within 3 months of when they're reading the book, because everyone who wants to go to the book club is trying to get it from the library. So I've just given up trying to go, which is sad. But they're reading one of his books, and this is a poetry collection, Time is a Mother. It's about after his mother died and like his grief and everything, and it interesting, potentially. I don't know. I was curious. I was curious about reading him anyway, and like, it's a poetry collection. I don't read much poetry, but I do want to like make an effort to read a little poetry and maybe get more comfortable with it. So I am looking forward to this. And like, it is really short and it is poetry, so like, I don't think it'll be a huge time commitment. It's just like, poetry can be effort involved. And I'm already reading another book by a poet this month, so interesting. And then the other thing I got is False Witness by Karin Slaughter. I was at work yesterday, maybe, looking in the book aisle because we sell books, and killing time because I didn't want to do my job. And I realized that Karin Slaughter had a book that came out last year that I missed. I'm terrible at keeping up with authors who do new releases, like especially the book of year ones, which Karin Slaughter is one. I'm just so bad at it. I forget to pay attention, even though it's like every year. Like, this should not be a surprise, and yet it always is. And I'm like, wow, I missed it by a year. Like, at this point, she might have a 2022 release out already. I don't know. False Witness. This is a standalone, and I don't tend to love her standalones as much as I do her detective series. I say, like, I've read more than one of them. I read the Will Trent series. I really like her detective books a lot more than like the psychological thriller books. They're similar, but like, I just don't tend to prefer the psychological thriller ones quite as much. So I wasn't like desperately needing this right now, but I was there and they had it, and I was like, might as well. I do need something lighter for this month because, again, the other book, poetry. Everything else on my TBR, nonfiction, except for the Witcher short stories, which I hate. So this will be like good to break things up. I mean, like, it's thick as anything. Oh, does it have deckled edges? I hate deckled edges, but it'll still be good to like kind of break up the nonfiction a bit with nice little entertaining thriller. It's all stormy outside, which is kind of a nice vibe for my day off. It basically means I don't feel obligated to do anything at all. Hello, Spleen. Say hi. Say hi. No. Oh, hi, Spleen. Okay, no, you're not gonna look. Say hi. She's cute. She's hanging out with me. But stormy days basically just mean I don't feel obligated to do anything. I don't feel obligated to, like, I don't know, get anything done, go out. I can just kind of chill and read and work on YouTube stuff. So, like, I think it's a nice day. I did finish Committing Journalism. Fantastic book. I really loved it. It was just, like, so good. Just, like, everything I wanted it to be and more. Highly recommend if you're interested in journalism. What are you doing? Are you just doing laps? Yeah? You running laps? Okay, bye, Spleen. Make delete. Don't drop my books. This was just fantastic. If you're interested in journalism, it is largely about journalism. Like, any discussions on like the First Amendment trial and prison reform are kind of like secondary to the journalism. So definitely the kind of book for me. Like, I adored this. And now I am working on my next two books. I did say I was starting the Witcher book. This is the second collection of short stories, Sword of Destiny. I am 2 short stories in. I'm trying to read 1 short story a day. Like, that is my plan, because I don't think I can force myself through more than that. I don't like this. I don't like his writing style. These stories are like entirely dialogue told through conversations, and the only action scenes you get are the actual like fighting scenes. There's no character development. There's no real like story or plot to them, and it's just like, I hate them. They're so sexist. They're so unbelievably sexist. Like, my god, they're just so sexist. Every single female character is an object in these books. Like, no one has any character development, male or female, but at least the men are not treated like objects, like literal objects. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. So I am trying to get through one of these a day. There are 6. I'm 2 in, so like another couple of days I should be approaching done at the very least. And then that's like the first thing that I'm doing every day, is just like reading that. And then once I finish my short story of that, the rest of my reading right now is focused on Ordinary Men by Christopher R. Browning. This is nonfiction about the 101st Police Battalion, Reserve Police Battalion, who committed mass murder in Poland. So it's like interesting topic, very dryly written, like the kind of dry that by the time I get to an end of the sentence, I'm struggling to remember what the sentence was about. So it's a little hard to get through, but I was checking the page count today, and once you take out the preface and the afterword and all the like references at the back, this book is only 189 pages of like actual book. So not much, but I'm working on this. I'm hoping to finish this within the next couple days. Like, I'm further than I was the last time I started this by a fair bit, but still not that far, and it is just like so dry. The only parts of the writing that I'm actually enjoying are when he's offering up translations from documents at the time, like letters or whatever. Those are really interesting to read, but the rest of it I'm just like struggling with a lot. So these are my next 2 books. Not excited, but we'll get through them, and then I have just 2 books left from my TBR, so I'm making decent progress considering it's what, like the 11th of June, and I've already finished 3 of the 7 books. I am quite pleased with myself, actually. So I've made lots of progress. It's the 16th today. I kind of wanted to finish both my books yesterday, but I was so tired that as soon as I got home from dog sitting, I just passed out. I've been working. I have like a 5-day in a row working streak at my full-time job, and I've been dog sitting for these 5 days as well, so very tired. I know like 5 days is normal for most people, but I don't get 2 days off in a row. I get like random 1 days here and there, which makes 5 days feel a lot longer. But I'm almost done with both of my books. I have In The Witcher, I have 1 short story left, which I'm hoping to get done before work. I'm working late this morning. I don't go until 10, but I still have to wake up to feed the dog at like 6:30, so I have time to read. I'm hoping to get this done real quick. The last 2, there's 6 short stories in here. I've read 5. The last 2 were a little better. Still, like, don't like the writing style, and they're horribly sexist, but the first 3 felt entirely pointless. Like, there was no point to the story. There was no meaning. There was no, like, growth or character development or, like, pushing the overall arc of the story forward. I mean, I know they're short stories, they're not connected, but like there's usually in short stories that are like connected by a character and aren't totally separate, there's something that ties them together, there's something that draws it forward, there's something that matters to like overall like his character, his story, his something, like even if they don't like relate directly, they all matter. And it felt like the first 3 didn't matter at all, but the last 2 kind of did. So even though I still don't like it at all, it did feel like it got better a little bit. So I'm hoping the last one keeps that up and like is at least like decent to read, because the first 3 were rough. And then I have Ordinary Men, which I've also made good progress on. It looks like I'm only halfway, but I'm a lot more than that. This is nonfiction. It's like very like historical fact-based nonfiction. So basically at the end there's like 100 pages of notes and references and bibliography and all that kind of stuff. So once you take out that plus the preface plus the afterword, this book is only 189 pages. So I've got like 50 or 60 left and then I'm done. This also got a little better. It's still very dry. Like, that's just the type of book that it is, you know, like, it is very fact-based. There are lots of dates, there are lots of names, there are lots of locations, there's lots of numbers, and it's like all the information that I know I'm not going to retain. Like, not because it's bad information, it's just like I'm going to retain like overarching like ideas, and like these are the things that happen, not like this many men were deported from this place to that place on this date by this person. And it's like, it's good information though. It's really interesting. It's like so horrifying. Like, it's about the Holocaust, and reading about the Holocaust is always horrifying, but there's something that's like, I don't want to say more horrifying, different horrifying, is that from like, you're reading this, it's about the Nazis, and not in like an excusing their actions kind of way. It's just like, it's focusing on them, and it's different reading about like mass murder from the perspective of the victims, because it's like they're horrified too, kind of, but like reading about it from the point of view of the perpetrators, what they thought, what they did, their willingness to do this even if they didn't agree with it, is just like a different kind of horrifying that like I'm not used to reading, and it is just like hard because of that, but interesting, worthwhile. I think I'm glad I'm reading this, even if it is just like a little bit drier than the nonfiction I tend to read. But planning to get through both of these today, hopefully, if I can finish the Sword of Destiny before work, get through that Witcher book, then I can have the rest of the day to really focus on Ordinary Men, and I think I'll be able to finish that too. So my reading plans on the 16th did not exactly go according to plan. I finished The Witcher, and then I was going to finish Ordinary Men, and it just wound up being like one of those days, you know, just like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I was stuck in the fuel center for a long time, which, like, I hate working the gas station at my work. I'm not really trained for it, so it's just like annoying and boring. So I downloaded an ebook to read because I was like very stressed and just wanted to like read something that was nice. And when I say nice, I mean like easy, kind of compelling, kind of like not a whole lot of effort, because like this is dense. This is dense. Interesting, but dense. So I went with YA Contemporary because that's like my comfort zone, my comfort reads. Like when I'm upset, YA Contemporary is what I pick up, which is why when COVID hit and I lost my job, I read like constant YA contemporaries. So I picked up A Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas because I'd never gotten around to reading that before. I always kind of meant to, because The Hate U Give was really good. Like, she's a really good writer. And just kind of like hadn't gotten to it yet. So I read that. It was really good. Like, of course it was. It was basically exactly what I expected it to be, which was like a really good book, really interesting characters, really well written. Like, it was the kind of prequel I like, because I don't usually go for prequels like that, where it could have been a standalone. Like, if The Hate U Give didn't exist, this book still could have been published and still would have been just as good. So if you haven't read it, read it. I don't know. It was really good. So I did actually today's the 18th, finally get to finishing Ordinary Men. Well, basically, I finished the regular book and I have like 25 pages of the afterword to read, which is, this book is an argument, basically. It's like a persuasive essay, you know, about like, hello, Splain, that basically anyone can become what these men were. Like, these were not like psychopathic killers. These were like ordinary guys put in a situation that turned them into mass murderers. And it wasn't anything special to them. It was just like the way largely people react, because like not all of them became mass killers, but like most did. And the afterword is basically his response to some criticisms of the book. Like, not like people hated it, but like academic criticisms, you know, because that's the kind of book this is. So I am actually interested to read that. I only read afterwards or prefaces or whatever when they seem like worthwhile to the book itself, and like some of them seem like extended acknowledgments or whatever. So the preface of this was interesting, and the afterwards seems interesting too. So I will be reading that, but I've basically finished this book. And next, I still have 2 books off my TBR to read, which I don't think I'll pick up next. I still have time this month, and if I don't get through every single one, that's fine. But I still have time, which might just mean I'm done with my TBR. I don't know. So I'm reading other things. Booksellers is hosting a read along for the Scarlet Letter, for like a banned books read along thing. So I went to my parents' house yesterday looking for the Scarlet Letter, and it wasn't there, and I was like, oh my god, like I swear I had a copy. So I looked up my spreadsheet on Google that's linked down below of all the unread books that I own, and I was like, it's by Nathaniel Hawthorne, so like, and it's a book I've had forever, so it should be under like alphabetical author first name, because my spreadsheet's all messed up. But so I looked and I was like, I don't own any books by authors with N as their first name. That's weird. But apparently I don't own the Scarlet Letter. So I got home and I checked my shelf and it was there. And then I looked up my spreadsheet, and the reason I couldn't find any N's is because I was looking between L and M instead of M and O. Like, I'm so dumb. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. It was just like the past 2 days, man. So turns out this was on my shelf here the whole time, so I didn't actually need to go looking for it. Brilliant. I don't think I'm starting this quite yet, just because Ordinary Men was very, very dense, and I struggled with it a lot, and I kind of expect this to be dense as well. So I think the next thing I'm going to read is my Karin Slaughter book, and then pick this up. But I do want to get this done this month. It's only like, my copy's only 250 pages, but like, the reason it's only 250 pages is because the margins are non-existent and the font's tiny. But that's fine. That's fine. So I'm hoping, like, I might read this like start it at the same time that I'm reading Karin Slaughter, but like, I kind of just want something like light, like in terms of like writing style, after Ordinary Men, because Ordinary Men was interesting, worthwhile, very dry, definitely a struggle to get through, and I don't have high hopes for this, but I do want to read it. So Karin Slaughter, what's the Karin Slaughter book I have? False Witness. It's one of her standalones, which like, and also the weird thing about it, it's set during COVID, which will make it the first book I've read that's set during COVID, which I don't know how I feel about that. I don't, but okay. That'll be interesting to read. And then I'll pick up the Scarlet Letter, and then hopefully after those 2, I shall return to my TBR and maybe read the last 2 books. I'm off from work for 2 whole days. Exciting. This is not the only time I've been off from work for 2 days in a row recently, but I used a personal day, which means I only work 4 days this week, and I really needed it. Today has been so nice. I also painted my nails yesterday, which I'm excited about. It's been so long since I painted my nails, and like, it just feels good, you know, like, yeah. It makes me happy. I did a really horrible job, because it's been like 2+ years since the last time I painted my nails, but you know, could be worse. I like the color. That's all that matters. They're gonna chip as soon as I go back to work, because I stock a lot, so I'm just like ripping open boxes all day. They're gonna rip and like chip and just be done. I finished the Karin Slaughter book. It was really good. Wasn't excited for it. I was kind of like, mediocre, you know, like, I prefer her cop thrillers. The further I got in, the more I was like, this might be Karin Slaughter's best psychological thriller. So, False Witness. I'm not getting it. If you haven't read False Witness, read it. It's good. Like, it made me happy. So now I'm reading The Scarlet Letter, or at least starting it. Love this cover. It's just gorgeous. Yeah, that's my goal for today. And also, like, I'm filming a bunch of videos, and by a bunch I mean I filmed 2 and I want to film 1 more. Yeah, that's my plan. film one more video. It's gonna be a tag. I'm moving this summer. Hopefully in like a month I will be moving, so I'm trying to film enough videos that I have like stuff to post in the meantime, because I'm really planning on like, I'm not gonna have time to film, and I'm gonna take down all my stuff and move, and that's gonna be like a week, you know, probably. And I'm moving further away, which is annoying. I don't like moving distance. If you're moving like, I don't know, like 15 minutes away, that's fine. Moving like further is annoying, and it's not that far, but it's like far enough. And I'm just trying to pre-film so that I have like stuff to post. And also, I don't know, I'm doing things today. I'm trying to get things done. 4chan found one of my videos, so that's been fun. They found the video I did on the Hillary Clinton book, so like, lovely. They're getting me so much watch time though, so like, I can't even complain. Like, throw all the insults you want. I'm sure my mother said worse. I've heard worse. So, watch time going through the roof. Yeah, I'm hoping to make decent progress on this today, start the poetry book, and then I still have the 2 books left for my TBR, which I may or may not read this month. We'll see. I just had the biggest freak out. I'm getting ready to film, so I haven't done my hair, pardon the mess. I'm moving, I've mentioned that. And we finally figured out where I'm moving. I haven't like signed the papers, like it's not like official, but like it's where I'm gonna be moving. And it is decently far away. Like, I'm not moving to like a different place. Like, I'm keeping my job and everything. It's just gonna be a lengthy commute. But I'm moving out of the area I live in. Like, I'm going to be living in a different county, and I've only ever lived in my county and kind of the city that my county is outside of. And the libraries between the two are kind of like mixed. Like, they're separate, but like if you live in the city, you can get a city library card. But if you live in like a list of surrounding counties, you can also get the city library card. And if you live in the county I lived in, you can get a county library card. But if you live in the city, you can also get that county library card. I'm moving to a different place, and I was just freaking out that I was gonna lose my library card for like the county, which is the one I grew up with. So like, I'm rather attached to it, and like have to like navigate a new library system, because I hadn't thought about the fact that it's a different place. And so I just like spent 10 minutes like panicked Googling it to figure out, and like, no, I'm gonna be able to keep the city and the county library cards that I have, and also get a library card for the county that I will be living in, which no one cares about but me, but like the relief I felt. Like, I can't tell you how badly I was freaking out about that. And just like, I was getting ready to film, I was like getting all my books out for the 2 tags I'm planning to film this morning, and I was just like, oh my god, wait, I need to figure this out right this second. Oh, my heart's racing. This is what happens when I drink a bottle of Mountain Dew at 7 a.m. But it's fine. I'm going to have 3 library cards now, which I like. I'm gonna have to get used to using the new one, because the other ones are gonna be like 30 minutes away. So I can still use them, and they are like close to my work, so it's fine. But that's been my morning so far. It's been a hard few days. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. Stop fighting. It's the 26th of July, which means I've only got a handful of days left to finish reading my TBR, which you can see behind me. That's the poetry book, and then these 2 are the 2 that I was supposed to read according to my TBR and haven't thus far. I don't know how much more I'm gonna get done. What I have been reading is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, which I started like 5 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, and the problem with this book is just honestly the timing of it. Little too on the nose for our current situation in America right now. Basically, when Roe v. Wade got overturned, I lost a lot of interest in this book. Not because, lost interest is a bad way to put it. I didn't lose interest, it's too on the nose. Like, it kind of hurts a little bit to read right now. And with the whole situation here being so, like, anxiety inducing, I don't know how to phrase it. It's scary. It's, like, genuinely scary. And this is offering no reprieve from that. Like, I am really enjoying it, don't get me wrong. I think it's kind of wonderful, actually. Decently into it. I have like 80 pages left, so like I'm not putting it down because I don't want to put it down, but it is just making it harder to pick it up, harder to focus on it, and just like slower in general because of the current situation, which is hard. It's just hard right now. I think a lot of other Americans are feeling the same way. Yeah, so that's about where we're at. My state is still safe for now. At the moment, nothing is changing, but the governor has already started introducing legislation in order to change it. So, looking at getting out of the state. Not right now, obviously, but like long term, the plan is to leave the state and move somewhere that's a little bit safer, a little bit more liberal, a little bit better. Have some options. I'm starting like researching. It's gonna be like a several year long process, but yeah. So I haven't really done much on BookTube since that happened. Haven't been filming or editing or any of that. This is kind of the first time that I'm like trying to do anything because it's just a scary situation right now, and this is not really helping. But it is good and very enjoyable, and I don't know, maybe it's good that I'm reading it right now. It has a great deal more impact right now than I think it would otherwise, but yeah, it's hard. So don't really have a whole lot to say about it, but it is hard. I think a lot of people are going through a tough time right now. Like, we knew this was gonna happen. We've known for a while, but I think it's still just like, I don't know. When it was announced that they were overturning it, Roe v. Wade, it was just like a shock. Like, I'd known. We'd all known, but it was still just like, I don't know, part of me never really believed it. Like, I knew it was gonna happen, but part of me was just like, it can't possibly happen. But yeah, I just wanted to film an update. I'm probably just gonna be reading this for, I don't know. I would like to finish it today because I only have 80 pages left, but I just don't know how much of this book I can honestly take. I have actually finished Scarlet Letter. It's the 28th today, so it did take me a couple extra days, but I knew it would. Really good, really enjoyable. Again, perhaps not the best week for me to have read it, but it was like really good. I do understand why this book is chosen for a lot of classes. Like, there's a lot of commentary on like society and religion and morality and humanity. It's really, really interesting and just like well written, interesting characters. So yeah, I did really enjoy this. I will say, if you're going into this and you start reading it, there's like this introduction that Hawthorne wrote called The Custom House. It's really long and really boring, really pointless. So if you are feeling very bored, try skipping to chapter 1 and see if you like that better, because I sure did. I read the whole thing, but like, you're not really missing out if you just decide to skip it. So just throwing that out there. Genuinely wonder how many people think they hate this book because they hate that and gave up. The book itself is very different and much more worthwhile. Really good though. Like, I'm glad I finally got to this. And I am working on Time is a Mother by Ocean Vong, which is a poetry book. Mixed feelings about this one. I don't understand it. Yeah, I have no idea what this is. Like, I've read poetry before, and I have rarely been as confused as I am in this book. It's just, like, well over my head. So, I'm, like, decently in. You can't really see. There are, like, 3 sections. It's split into, like, 3 parts. And I read the first 2 parts, and I'm gonna sit down and read the third just now. It's only, like, 112 pages long. And it's all poetry, so, like, it's not even, like, full pages. It's, like, very brief sections on pages. And it's, like, really quick to read. Like, even, like, trying to take my time and really, like, savor everything and think about everything. It's just, like, I have no idea what he's saying 90% of the time. But, like, there are moments in it that are, like, very emotional that make me feel emotional, which I like. So it's, like, I wouldn't not recommend this. I just think it's, like, beyond me. He's written a novel, and I would be very interested in trying to read his novel, because I do a lot better with prose than poetry, so I am down. I'm glad that I tried this, but it is just one of those things that, like, I can't even, like, judge this. It's just so, like, not for me, and I don't really understand at all what I'm reading, which feels, thank you, feels weird. It feels weird, but I'm gonna go sit down, read this. I called out of work today because I just didn't feel like going in. I haven't called out since, like, January when I had COVID, so I don't feel bad about that. I just wanted a break to, like, finish my stuff, catch up on YouTube, just, like, chill. So I did that today. Gonna finish this, and then I'll have, what, like, 2 days left? It's June. So there are 30 days in the month. I had to sing the song in my head. So I have 2 days left to, like, try to read the last 2 books that were originally on my June TBR. I might just pick one and go with that. So part 2, filming this video. Attempt 2, I should say. I'd filmed, like, 5 minutes of my outro, and then my phone was like, no. No. Spleen made an appearance in the last video. I don't think she'll be back. She usually only shows up for a minute. I've been working on this the last few days. Green Suede Shoes by Larry Kirwan. This is his memoir. He is or was the lead singer of Black 47. I don't know if they're still together, an Irish-American rock band. This book is largely about his life and also the music scene in New York in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. His life, fascinating. The politics, fascinating. The music scene, maybe not my kind of thing. He's a musician, so I can't really blame him for that. Hello, Spleen. You would probably enjoy this book a lot more if you had any idea who Larry Kerwin was going in. That's my bad. I have about 150 pages left, and I am determined to get through this today so I can finish it. It's the 30th. Finish it for the month, and then I will have read basically everything on my TBR and everything I got from the library and everything I planned except for one book, which is fantastic. That's me reading on a schedule. I can do things. It did get a lot faster because he has song lyrics at the beginning of each chapter, and like the entirety of the song, like the lyrics for it. So I was listening to the song at the beginning of every chapter, and sometimes it was like 2 or 3 songs. And about halfway through, I just kind of got to a point where I was like, hello, Spleen. I don't care anymore. You know, like, I'm just not interested. Like, the music was fine, don't get me wrong. I liked a lot of it. It wasn't all to my taste, but, like, interesting music. It was just that, like, I didn't like having to stop and interrupt, and I'd rather just read fluidly through the book. And once I stopped doing that, I kind of started enjoying the experience a little bit more. Like, the music was good. I will probably go back and listen to some of the music later, or at least just like his band in general, maybe not like the specific songs from these books, because a lot of the music was really interesting and there were a few songs I really liked, but just not my ideal experience. But this book's okay. He talked about politics in Ireland for a minute, and I was a lot more interested in that. I was like, this is fascinating, go on. And then he moved to New York, and it's basically been New York ever since. But I don't know. I'm glad I read this. I probably won't be keeping it, not because it's bad, but just because, like, I don't know. I have very few thoughts on it and him. But yeah, gonna finish this by the end of the month. So this closes out the vlog. This has been unnecessarily long, and I apologize. I tried to go shorter, and then I just didn't. But I did read 10 books, if we're including this, which I am, because I will get through this tonight. 10 books this month, 5 of which were on my TBR. 5 or 6? Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 off my TBR. So that's good progress, I think. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts you would like to share. And yeah, I will see y'all again soon.